back, everyone. I don't know why this happened. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Corner Office Chats with Marie and Alexis. We're your high performance coaches. We're talking about how growth mindset leads to success. I forgot what we were talking about. Talking about growth mindset. And that's been our theme for the month of February, is really, what does it look like when you start to have that growth mindset? What does it look like for someone who's in leadership? And where are you stuck? Where are you stuck with the fixed mindset? And what do you need to do to get out of it, right? So for those of you who are wanting to move forward in your life, move forward in your successes, or you feel like you're kind of stuck where you are, then this is definitely the Corner Office Chat for you to listen into, tune in, and drop us some questions down below. Let us know what is it that you're dealing with. So I'm getting a lot of feedback. Go ahead, Alexis. We get started.
Yeah, no worries. So we're talking about, so we talked last week about the difference between a growth and a fixed mindset. And we talked about what that looks like. And today we want to focus on how does having that growth mindset lead to your success specifically. And we're talking about in the professional realm of things. And so I want to start it off by talking about motivation. And, a fixed versus a growth mindset. Motivation is sometimes challenging. The motivation to start something new, whether that is a project or just sometimes a daily task that we have to do. The motivation sometimes is really hard to summon up. But when you have a growth mindset, meaning you are open to the possibilities, you recognize that there is potential in anything that you do and that there's opportunity there, that can help you to muster up that motivation to start, to begin a new project that might be scary. If you have a fixed mindset that tells you, you know what, I'm as smart as I'm going to be, my creative capacities are this, or my strength in numbers is this, and you don't believe truly that you can expand yourself in those areas or much, of significance, then when we are up against a new task or a new challenge, and as soon as it starts to become frustrating or challenging or stressful, if you have a closed mindset at that point is where a lot of people get stopped and walk away, right? And they just believe this is just not for me, right? But if you don't try it, if you don't at least attempt it, oftentimes the motivation comes after we begin. We think the motivation should be there before we begin, but it actually starts to roll once we get rolling. So the growth mindset leads to success in terms of having the motivation to start as well as to continue in the face of challenges. Obviously, that is going to be helpful if you are a leader leading people. There's always challenges with people. So you want to be, having that growth mindset and recognizing that we can change, that we can improve, whether that's a relationship, even if it doesn't look like there's much, hope of salvaging a professional relationship. A growth mindset would tell you that there absolutely is, right? And there is reason to try.
Yeah, and it can affect all areas of your life, right, Alexis? Like this, we talk about health, fitness, nutrition, family, career, spirituality, your money, whatever it is that there's maybe one area that you may be feeling that you have a very fixed mindset around, you don't even realize it. So it's good for you to explore, like you said, that motivation. Where is it that you're stuck? So my health coach asked me today, they texted me and said, so what is it? Why are you struggling with staying on your exercising and nutrition? I'm like, I am struggling with it. I said, I feel like I don't have the motivation. And so I started really digging deep about it because I'm telling myself that it's hard and it's difficult and it takes so long and I want instant results. I don't have the time. I have a very fixed mindset about it, Alexis. It's like really, it's something I need to break through it, right? So it could be for you, it could be around money, it could be about a relationship, Could be about your career even. So take a look, where is it that you've lost motivation in moving forward? And that's a good place to start with. What has you stopped, and what can you start doing differently, and how can you start talking about it differently, talking about it in your head differently to yourself, so that you can start moving yourself forward. And if you need, YouTube to help you get motivated, then do that. If you need a coach, then get that. If you need a friend or a mentor, or whatever it is that you need, look for around your community or things that you have access to that can you can put that structure in place to help you stay motivated, especially when you're just starting out, especially when you're starting out.
Yeah, and it's such an excellent point that sometimes when we have this conversation around the growth mindset, people think that it's just an all or nothing. You are either you have a growth mindset or you're fixed in all areas. But you bring up such a good point in that we can have a growth mindset in one area and a fixed mindset in another. And so sometimes we get into that trap being like, no, I'm super open about my own skill set in my job, right? But we're not thinking about our relationship or our health or our spirituality or our finances, right? We're not thinking of those individual things. So I love that you brought that up. Another way that growth mindset leads to success is in seeking out those challenges that really push us beyond our limits, that push us and eke us outside of that comfort zone. We talked about that a couple of weeks back. And because these are the places, this is the area where we grow the most. And where growth really only happens. Growth doesn't happen within our comfort zone. We just stay comfortable, right? We just maintain. That is just the maintenance zone. But when we're pushed beyond that, that's when growth happens. And if you are not open, and like we talked about just a second ago with the motivation in starting something either new or something challenging, and you don't have that drive or that push to keep going in the face of challenge, you're not going to grow in those areas either. So, seeking out those challenges, people that have a growth mindset, seek out the challenging situations, right? Ooh, that's a 6-week course on, coding. I don't know, that seems the most challenging to me. Something in IT, that's challenging, but I'm going to grow so much through that. And it's going to be hard, but I'm also going to learn, and I'm going to be better because of it at the end. Right? Not just seeing the challenges that are right in our face.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard, even my kids, right? They're teenagers. I bring this up sometimes about them, but they'll be like, I can't do that. I don't know how. I was like, well, that's how you're going to learn how, right? What I really liked was that when my daughter got her first job, it had her look at things in a whole nother way. She was working at Your Pie. And so going there and eating was a whole nother experience for her now that she's behind the counter and cooking and cleaning and making the money, you know what I mean? And she's seeing like, oh, it actually changed the way we would go to restaurants too. She would watch how other people the workers were working, and I remember her saying, she was like, we need to make sure we clean up after ourselves. We always do. She's like, you don't know. There's like really dirty people. They like leave a lot of mess. It's just, she grew her mindset around, what it is to be on the flip side and being responsible and building that into self-integrity. So, whatever challenges that you're facing, whatever it is that you're going in with an open mind and knowing that you're going to learn something, that's when you're operating out of the growth mindset. Most leaders already embrace this. Leaders sometimes struggle with this where they feel like they have to do it all. And you know what? I'm a recovering perfectionist, people pleaser, and it still comes in. I love it when Alexis calls me out. I'm like, sorry. It comes out in me, and I'm a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. So it's noticing and being able to take that feedback. I know that's the next thing that we're going to talk about, is making sure that you can take the feedback and use it as constructive criticism for you to go get to that next level that you want to get to. So if you're a perfectionist, what is the effect that's having on the people around you? right? As a leader, you have to be mindful that how is it having an effect on other people, and where it has, your team may be stopped. So looking at it that way, that'll expand your mindset. Asking the question, how is this working for you? Is the communication style that we're using, does it work for you? Do we need to have more touch-based meetings, or would you rather just have once a month meeting? Ask them. You won't know where you need to make changes until you get people in your team or your community involved, or having somebody give you another look at an objective view of it. So it's being able to take that feedback.
Yeah, and I think it's also you definitely have to be able to take it well, but you have to be able to ask for it in the first place. So if you're a leader listening to this, when's the last time you requested feedback from your team on your leadership skills? This is sometimes a really tough thing for people to do. So I'm a college prof, and every single semester we have to do student satisfaction surveys. And when I first started, I had a couple other my fellow faculty to say, "Don't even read them. You're just going to be upset." And sure, sometimes students say the most ridiculous thing. I didn't like the temperature in the room, in the lecture hall, and you're thinking, well, that doesn't have anything to do with me, but it's feedback that was requested, and that's what they gave. Or they take personal shots at your shoes, and it's not nice. But I had the number of people I had to tell me that, so don't even bother reading it because you're just going to be mad. I read every single one, and I genuinely take the feedback back, because there's things about myself and my teaching style, as much as I try, and I have learned, and I have self-taught and studied on my own about different learning styles, and I continue to do that to try and present information in multiple different ways to reach the different students that I'm teaching to. At the same time, there's personal characteristics. I talk very quickly. We have a lot of international students. So sometimes the speed at which I go, especially when I get excited about something, some students really struggle with how quick I go, and then they miss that whole part of the lecture, right? So getting that feedback is so crucial, because for me, I'm like, that was a great lecture. I was on fire. I was passionate and exciting. I'm like, but those 3 international students, or maybe even not, but a handful of students didn't even catch that because I was just going way too quick, right? That was one feedback I got, and I since then consciously make it an effort to slow down. Or if I find myself getting really excited, I pause and I make sure, and I look at the faces to see, is this message landing, right? Don't be afraid of feedback. If you have a fixed mindset, if you're afraid of feedback, you have a fixed mindset, right? So if I said to you, pull your team and ask them about your leadership skills, and you thought, hell no, I'm not doing that. That's an area you want to open up and expand your mind and expand your mindset in, because when you ask for that feedback, you're able to grow. Maureen and I were just talking about this, and we were talking about experience. And just because somebody has 20 years experience in a certain position or in a certain field does not always make them an expert. They could be doing it wrong for 20 years, right? But we put so much stock into experience and how many years in the field. And yes, that is important to some degree, and you do have to put in the time and have the different experiences. But if you're not looking for feedback, if you're not growing in that 20 years, then you don't have as much to offer as you think you do. So these are tough conversations to have, but they're so important to our success in so many different areas of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Many of our clients that have come to us, they've actually said it was really difficult for them to get feedback and having to face what they needed to face. But when they made that choice to be coached, right, they're expanding themselves. So look at it that way. If you want to go to that next level, reaching out to your community or who the stakeholders are and finding out what it is that they need is probably the key to your next success, that next level of success that you need for your team. And sometimes you just have to take it with a grain of salt. It's nothing personal. It's probably just not working with the team or the environment that you're in, the community that you're in. So maybe there's another approach you can try. Right? We're not born perfect. We're not born to be able to, I tell my kids all the time, You guys didn't come with a user manual. Just saying. I got the whole, changing the diaper and all that stuff. But as you guys progressed and the challenges you guys face, it's a whole nother era. We're in a pandemic. I don't know what's the right thing to tell you, right? So you tell me, what do you need more of from me? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm very open with them, and they're like, I know, Mom, you're trying, but I'm like, okay, I can take it. What is it? So, and also be conscious and aware of who you're taking that feedback from. Some people are spiteful, maybe they have nothing, really nice to say. So you want to make sure it's objective and it's someone that you can trust for that feedback, where it's coming from. And if you're not sure, ask the questions. Like, I don't really understand where this is coming from. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And if it makes you go into that hole and cry in a corner or something, then check yourself. It's not even about you. We are talking about what Alexa said, getting to that next level. If you really want to get there, remove yourself from that equation and stand in sorry, I'm like stuck on words today. Stand in the commitment of the success that you want to reach. Okay. Once you stand there, then it's not even about you. It's about, where do we take our team or my leadership to the next level, right? So that's where you want to stand when you're looking at feedback.
Yeah, and it just maybe, as you were talking there, made me think too. I had students hand in an assignment a few weeks ago, and when you give grades, usually we provide feedback, and you always get a student or two, message you and say, can you tell me where I lost these marks? And it was funny because I had a student who got 19 out of 20, and I had a student that got 2 of 20. Guess which one messaged me for feedback?
19 out of 20.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking, girl, you did a great job. And I told her, I said, you did an excellent job on your project. And here's where you lost the 1 mark. But I kind of laughed to myself, because the person who got 2 out of 20, I was ready. I was ready for their email being like, you didn't follow instruction, you didn't do this, haven't even heard from them yet. And it just made me think of that, because the person who has the 19 to 20, we had a great conversation over email, back and forth a little bit. And, and I said, I'm glad that you reached out. You want to know where you went wrong so that you can correct it for the next. There's 2 more assignments, major projects in this class. Amazing. And that changed the relationship that I have with that student in that moment when she asked for the feedback. Because, being virtual, it has been challenging. I'm teaching at a college level. It's hard. A lot of kids don't turn their cameras on, so it's hard for me to connect with them. And that's what I love about teaching. But when I have those moments, as quick as they are, it changed the relationship I had with this young lady. So when you ask for feedback, it's also deepening the connection that you have with somebody and changing it. And that's going to lead to more success, not only in that relationship, but in then the work that you do together, the direction that you go. You never know where paths will cross again. So I know we're stuck on this point for a little while, but it's such a good one.
We could do a whole 20 minutes on it.
100%. And the last one that we want to share is how a growth mindset leads to success is through innovation. When you have an open mind and you're willing to ask the question, share the silly idea. I mean, you've all heard of that story, because there's 1,000 of them, where something was created by somebody just throwing out a silly, ridiculous concoction or idea of some sort. And then someone said, I wonder. I used to share this with my students, is that somebody's, what if you were sitting at a table and you were creating, shoes, and you said, I wonder what it would be like to just walk on air. Like, how could we just walk on clouds? And they're all, the students would all start laughing and be like, all right, what is this woman talking about? She's
lost it.
Yeah. And I'm like, right though? Could you imagine just like packaging up air and just walking on little clouds and blah, blah, blah. And they're just like, you could tell they're just like, okay, where is she going with this? And I'm like, Air Jordan, right? Do you remember the Air Jordan this is going to date me, but back in the 90s, where you could squeeze the tongue and it actually pumped up the sole of the shoe?
Yep.
That's how I imagine that conversation starting and that idea. What if we could just walk on air? What do you want to walk on? You don't want to walk on stones. You want to walk on air. Like you want to walk on clouds, right? That could have been that conversation. Boom, $1 million idea was created because someone was courageous enough, had a growth mindset, didn't allow the possible criticisms of others to come into play and shared that idea. And there's so many things that happen, whether it's a brand new product or a brand new idea, or it's improving on an existing thing, that happen just because somebody is whether it's confidence or just simply aware of the possibilities of just sharing those silly, ridiculous, wonderful ideas.
Absolutely. You know, the current pandemic is like a perfect topic to also talk about. You know, when we talk about innovation, think of all the companies that had to completely redo their entire structure, shut down the brick and mortar, and have to go completely virtual. And then there's some that completely did shut down. They probably didn't even know how to explore how they could go completely virtual. And for some cases, maybe it wasn't even possible. I don't know. But and there's a lot of people that were furloughed or completely lost their jobs, right? Because of the things shutting down. What are you doing with that time? Are you using this time to grow yourself? What skill set do you need? Now, I mean, like, I don't know, there's a lot of businesses that are booming. I know this has been pandemic. Yeah, it's not been great. My social life is none. But as far as I know, Alexis and I, we've been working on, you know, being here with you all and engaging with all of you in the group, having our podcast going. So we've been having fun, actually. And it's exploring a whole new way of communicating and being with people. And actually, it's been exhilarating and addicting, quite honestly. Like, I'm like, this is so much fun, right? And now even I've worked from home for the last 8 years anyway. But I know for a lot of people, it's very tough. But it's like, how do you start building those boundaries? So get innovative. Ask the people who've worked from home for so many years, what is it that they've done before? What has worked for them? If you don't know, if something's you're struggling with, get out there and ask. Communication is key. You're not going to look dumb. You're not going to look stupid. I tell people that, I was like, there's no dumb question. That's all in your head. You won't know unless if you ask. We're always learning. And I tell my kids this, I was like, learning never stops. I've been in consulting for 15 years. All I do is learn. All I do is learn. And that's basically how I've built my career, is to continuously learn, continuously be innovative, listen, learn, and move forward, right? So, and learning from our failures too, right? So, you know, this is really great. I love the growth mindset. This month has been all about that. It's really opened up some things even for myself this month in areas where I was feeling stuck. So thank you, Alexis, for, you know, bringing up, you know, how a growth mindset has brought us to success and will continue to lead you through success, however you want and how you show up. So, and this is something you can Google it if you don't know. And if you heard some of our past corner office chats from the last 2-3 weeks, that's what we've been talking about, is fixed mindset versus growth mindset. So take a listen to them if you haven't heard them. I'm just going to check really quick to see some of the comments to see if a few people are here. Fritz and Shamila. She says, can you read this?
What about feedback which is meant more to criticize you and pull your efforts down? How to deal with such people are not giving you? Yeah, Maureen, you touched on this, and it's one of those things that no matter what the feedback is and who it comes from, I always look for the truth first. Sometimes people, you know, we have past experiences with them and we automatically think they're going to criticize us. Is there any truth to that feedback? Take that and throw away the rest. Right? No matter why they choose to give you this feedback, whether it was solicited or unsolicited, look for the truth. And if there's none there, then you don't have to take it in. Because like Maureen said, there are people that are out there that do have a closed mindset, that maybe are jealous of your success, or, you know, you're doing the things that they only wish they could do, or are doing. So you want to be careful of how much you let it affect you. But what I would say is, look for the truth. If you really can't find it, find somebody that you know that cares about you, that cares about you know, you and just sort of in general, and say, this is what I heard. Is there any truth to that? Because sometimes we can't see it within ourselves, or we're like, I don't do that. And then you ask your husband and you're like, you totally do that. You know, you don't always see it. And it could be something that somebody else could be highlighting or pointing out for you that you could, you know, take on board. And hey, I'm not saying that we need to necessarily change, you know, ourselves, and that it's always a conversation. Well, that's who I am. That is a fixed mindset. That is just who I am. It depends on where you want to go in life. I have core values, and those never change. But how I interact with Maureen is different than how I interact with my mom, is different to how I interact with my 7-year-old child, right? On our team, we interact differently with the members on our team based on who they are as people. I can't tell you that I'm this type of leadership. Because I'm not. There's not one leadership style that I follow, no matter who I'm leading, right? So it's still me showing up in those situations, but I am consciously creating a situation. I'm consciously creating a positive environment to the best of my ability in each individual situation. So I hope that answers your question. You know, look for the truth.
Yeah.
Ask somebody that you trust, and then if it doesn't hit, or if you think it is just malicious, then leave it go.
Yeah. Really great. One last one I'll just bring up. Fritz says the consulting is all about borrowing the client's watch so you can tell them what time it is. Yeah. So this is an interesting thing that he brought up about consulting.
Yeah.
Think about, why do companies hire consultants? Right? It's to help solve problems. They know that they're somewhere, they are on a fixed mindset or a fixed way of being. So now they bring in consultants to help bring that out of the box and solve, and, you know, so that they can grow. They can grow their bottom line. They can, you know, improve their processes, improve efficiency, get back time, whatever it is. So just like companies hire consultants, celebrities hire coaches or agents, right? People, that are successful, understand the importance of making sure that they have the community to help them be successful. Alexis and I, we have a business coach. Why do we have a business coach? Because we don't want to figure it out on our own. We want somebody who's done it, and we want to reach the same type of success that they have, but we want to get there faster because they already did all the mistakes. They already learned, you know, did all the things, so we can skip that and get right to it, right? So think about that for yourself.
And the other thing is that we're emotionally invested, right? We spend hours, sometimes we're up until 2 a.m. talking about strategies or ways we're going to take this business and what we're going to do and the projects we should and should not take on. So we have invested emotionally quite a bit. So when someone says, scrap that, or don't do this, or you shouldn't be doing this, we're like, what? We just spent 1,000 hours doing these things, and we're emotionally invested in it. So it's good to have that objective outside opinion giving us that feedback and saying, hey, have you guys thought about it this way? Right? We're 2 women with our own experiences. We're not the only women out there with these 2 experiences, and there's other perspectives as well. So it's important to be able to get that outside objective opinion, and then be able to shape that and use it to help propel you forward and to help lead you towards success.
Yeah, really great. I love this topic. I mean, I love every topic we talk about, right? We come up with the topics after we have conversations with all of you in the group. So this was really great. Thank you so much, Alexis, for being here and having the discussion around how growth mindset leads to success. And thank you for all of those that were commenting and asking questions. And, you can continue to follow us if you're not already in our Facebook group. It's the Goal Set group. You can also find us on Instagram and LinkedIn. You can also text us I'll drop the text. You can text GSC to 404-737-3299 if you ever want to get reminders, you want to find us in any of in our locations. We'd love to have you. We'd like to get your feedback. All the topics that we talk about, it comes from mostly from our group. We take a survey, we hear what you guys are dealing with, what do you want to learn more about, and that's how we come up with it. So, all right, thanks so much. We'll see you all next time, next Thursday at 1:30, same time, same place. Bye, everyone.